TAG TV and TAG Radio be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. TAG TV, TAG Radio, there's a lot more to know. So many fascinating questions remain for exploration. The university of the future. What counts as excellence in online instruction? How might online education over time bring down the cost of education and extend its reach? How might existing universities collaborate more successfully amongst themselves and with for-profit enterprises? How can online positively influence the teaching environment on traditional campuses? And what positive role might we imagine for online instruction to play in transmitting cultural and humanistic values? Fascinating? For sure. But the University of the Future will have to do more, much more. IT activities including budget and financial management, management of an application development portfolio, and linking financial data to the IT service portfolio in order to create meaningful business intelligence and metrics. Up to the Tech Talk, identity and access management in the University of the Future, as we speak to McCree Lake, Associate Director of Information Technology Services at Kennesaw State University. He's responsible for a number of key IT activities, including budget and financial management, management of an application development portfolio, and linking financial data to the IT service portfolio in order to create meaningful business intelligence and metrics. McCree's team manages the Identity and Access Management Initiative at Kennesaw State and has won awards for integrations and improvements made in the identity and access management arena. The initiative has been recognized both within the state and nationally, including an award from TAG for the Mobile Campus Directory, being selected as one of the recipients of the 2013 CSO 40 Awards by CSO Magazine, and culminating with an award from TAG Southeastern Software Association, recognizing the outstanding internal development efforts that have gone into creating a successful platform for the identity management portfolio at Kennesaw State. The futuristic scenario kind of goes something like, well, you log on to your degree course learning zone and discover you've been set a tough assignment. You download some key textbooks from the online university library and begin studying. While fellow commuters bury their heads, you get some tips from the course mates through an online forum. By the time you reach your stop, you have typed out an essay plan on your smartphone. Is this the university experience of the future? For an increasing number of students, it's happening now, and that is just the beginning. The Tech Talk is all about the University of Tomorrow's operational IT management. That's right, the activities including budget and financial, application development portfolios, linking to financial data, and IT service portfolios in order to create meaningful business intelligence and metrics. It's all about the University of the Future as we talk to McCree Lake, an Associate Director of Information Technology Services at Kennesaw State University. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. TAG TV and TAG Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. McCree, welcome to Tech Talk.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think most of us probably can appreciate the fact that university environments are obviously communities within their own right, but I think a lot of us are probably, unless we have college kids or are involved with some form of academia, don't realize the complexity and the dynamics that I think are happening nowadays on a campus. Let's talk a little bit about KSU and what you're doing, and let's focus on, if you don't mind, the development and the deployment of the directory and the identity portfolio.
Sounds great.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Thanks. Well, Kennesaw is actually the third largest institution in Georgia by population, institution of higher education by student population, and it's grown tremendously over the past decade. And I think that, like you alluded to, the complexities here from the perspective of anything that has to do with IT, but particularly identity and access management, which is all about roles and managing folks' access and that kind of thing, is very complex because in an academic setting, things are not typically done like they are in corporate. And so with any security initiative also comes a lot of other complexities, like making sure that folks aren't just locked out, but they also have access to the right things and that they have that access very easily and straightforward.
Whole set of protocols.
Exactly. And we have, a huge and varying population of people, from visitors on campus to faculty to administrative staff, obviously students, but then we also have accesses specific to retirees and other types of folks, dignitaries, and so we do have a lot of complexity in that space, absolutely.
Well, maybe dive a little deeper now, because I think in many cases a lot of us from a corporate and enterprise standpoint are used to using collaboration platforms. Does it go that deep as well? Is it a case where, let's say, some of the professors are sharing and/or educating through the system and have some requirements for that, or is that a different function of another part of the IT process?
There is an integration. Our system isn't directly related to any particular collaboration tool. It sort of sits, I would say that it sits above a lot of the IT applications that are in the portfolio within our enterprise, and it helps to manage access to the right one so that as folks are collaborating within the different systems, they're able to get to the ones that they should have access to, and that within that system they have proper roles based on who they are and what they do in the organization, and then that they're also promptly removed when they're not supposed to have access anymore. I do think that, folks in our environment, they use a lot of different tools, both, sort of commercially available tools and ones that we provide. Typically, we focus on the internal tools and making sure that access is controlled for those. But there's definitely an element of collaboration, and I can talk further about some of the group management and things like that we're doing later. But, yeah, there's definitely an element, but it's not a direct connection, I guess. Well,
talk a little bit again, because I try to come to these meetings, and I don't have a problem doing it, as I often say, as an amateur or as a tourist. You become a conceptualizer when you have an opportunity to talk to a lot of different thought leaders. Give us some specific examples that will clarify it more for our listening audience.
Okay, sure. So, when you start talking about identity and access management, what a lot of people immediately go to is the security aspect of that and adding and removing people from specific systems. And so there's certainly an element of that to our project. We deployed an IBM product called iSIM, and it's their security identity management product specific to manage some of those aspects. But what we try to do is sort of look at things more from a business solutions perspective, and what were the needs in the business that wasn't just about, okay, you have to change your password every year, or adding and removing people's access to certain systems. How can we help deliver solutions? So we kind of focus specifically on things like creating a platform so that the identity data is readily available to multiple applications. And so we have a platform where applications can be developed that securely leverage data that's in our identity database, and workflows can be built around that information to better integrate systems, to improve business processes, and other things like that. We've also automated a lot of service provisioning. So whereas in the past, you might have to go through and get a service ticket, request access, get it approved, and then finally get access to a service, let's say like a faculty and staff email or a website service that we provide to the campus. Now it's all based on an automated process. So as soon as the person is, switched on, so to speak, as an employee or as a faculty member, they automatically get many of the accesses that they'll use day to day without putting in a service ticket and waiting and going through a manual process. So there have been a lot of improvements in that space as well.
Okay, talk a little bit about strategy. Obviously, the whole initiative has gotten fairly strong recognition. I know TAG has identified it more than a couple of times.
Yes.
CSO Magazine gave it a CSO 40 award, and then on top of that, obviously, while we're talking today, even the TAG Southeastern Software Association's Impact Award. Tell us a little bit about the strategy, and I guess if you can, share a little bit about why it was so successful.
Sure, thank you. So I think that our overarching guideline from a strategic perspective was sort of to find some sort of niche ways to identify ways that we could differentiate this project rather than just thinking of it as, okay, this is an inside-of-the-box identity and access management deployment that's all about, one particular aspect of security, let's say password changes. So what we started to see as the project developed was that there were some significant opportunities to improve services across the board from an IT perspective to deliver business value for the campus. And so the first thing that we did from a strategic perspective is identify those things that were a part of the project that we felt were key value add for the university. And some examples of that would be the fact that we were able to really closely align some of the things that the technical aspects of the project with specific business needs, and it really fell right into place because there were some specific business automation needs that were going on, and we were able to align with that. We actually really made a strategic focus on building a centralized identity repository where multiple data sources could flow in. So you might, there's data sources about faculty members, about students, retirees, staff. I mean, the list goes on. And all of those were sort of like disparate data sources that were spread out around the campus. And so we strategically partnered with folks and brought all those into a central system that then allowed us to make better, more accurate decisions about adding and removing roles, making sure folks had the right access, and about serving up a platform where development could happen and system integration could happen more efficiently as well. I also think that another big value-added resource for us was the fact that the team around this project had strong software development and deployment skills. And so it wasn't like we were taking this just like we were taking this commercial product and deploying it out of the box and trying to make everything work. We certainly had a core component with the IBM system, which was really helpful. But then there were other things that happened as well, from custom development. The campus directory solution that TAG awarded, that was developed in-house from this centralized data set. And so we really tried to focus on meeting business solutions. And then I think to kind of wrap up my answer to that question, we took those valuable solutions and then configured them into capabilities that really worked well for the campus. So folks had accurate data, they had a platform to come to, and then finally one of the things that we really wanted to do was make an impact to the top and bottom line of the organization. And we did that actually through partnering with the University Development and Alumni Affairs Group to generate revenue from alumni by strategically providing them services based on their membership status with the university and their giving status.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then we've also been able to cut significant costs from a licensing and resource provisioning perspective because we're able to actually know who needs access to these resources, and then when they don't, we can take them away. So we have much better numbers and a hold on who needs licensing for specific products, so it helps to save money in that way as well.
So I'm thinking funding became the mother of invention, huh?
Yes, exactly. Because, a project like this does not come inexpensively without the initial capital.
Well, I was going to ask, even how do you project something like this? How do you identify the problem and look at the return on investment in the kind of environment and get the kind of approval to go ahead on something like that?
I think, it's a fantastic question because this project actually was initiated, particularly the security component was initiated by the Information Security Office here within the ITS department, which is where I work, out of a need to address some specific audit findings that had to do with users in the system that should have been removed and that type of thing many years ago. And so there was a specific risk-based sort of funding that was given to sort of kickstart the project. And I think as time developed, what the team saw was that there were some significant opportunities to not just, contribute or work things from a risk and security perspective, but also to kind of take that next step and make sure that we were delivering business solutions out of the things that were happening with this project. So it was a unique way to look at a project like this, at least from other identity and access management initiatives that I've seen.
Well, one of the things, again, when we talk about having the opportunity to scan across so many different subject matters and so many different verticals as far as the technology industry, a term we use here often is it's the same thing, only different. And sometimes, whether it's logistics or healthcare, a lot of the impact of mobility, clouds, the app situation, high-speed distribution, and all of those things are literally disrupting the norm. In fact, I think using disruptive technology is kind of outdated anymore. I think it's a continual transformation of one kind or another. The point I'm leading to is Is there the prospect of you guys having developed something that's scalable that you could see other universities and academics getting involved in it?
I think that from the perspective that we have a model here that's been really successful, then potentially yes. I mean, we have actually shared our ideas at conferences and other events and talked about some of the things that we've done. I think that, some of the stuff is very specific to our environment, so it might be difficult for it to scale. But from an idea,
security people have a hard time dealing with best practices. I get that.
But from a conceptual perspective, I think that there are a lot of things which universities particularly could probably benefit from an idea perspective, but also some corporate groups as well, because it's a way of taking something that's this traditionally framed in a very security-centric, risk-based kind of way, and there's a critical element to the project that ties back to that. But you can also leverage the platform or focus on building a platform where development teams can come to work, where your business process solutions can be integrated.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of opportunities with something like this that I think, in general, folks could benefit from.
Well, and that's what I mean by the same thing, only different.
Right.
I think in a lot of cases everybody operates in silos, and the realization is that until they break out and begin to share, like you're talking about at conferences or events, somebody realizes, wait a minute, we're kind of working on that same thing.
Exactly.
How did you fix it?
Exactly.
Well, bottom line, ROI, let's talk about specific business results. What happened as far as all things being said, expectations to reality?
Yeah, I think, one of the, if we do talk about revenue, and that's one of the things that I've been proud of as far as this project is concerned, we tripled the number, in partnership with the University Development and Alumni Affairs Group, we tripled the number of paying, active, donating alumni since October of last year through leveraging this service. So as soon as they contributed their annual donation, they were allowed to get access to specific IT services or continue access if they were a part of that group. And so it's really been a huge contribution. I mean, we went from, a solid number of giving alum, but then to triple that in a matter of months, I think is a really impressive statistic.
That's a brilliant idea. I mean, I may be, over-exaggerating because maybe it's something that has been done or has been at least tried before, but the logic in that is just right on. I mean, I can see the benefit. And, again, sadly enough, in many cases when you're dealing in some form of fundraising or participation, it's usually a case where you either have to incentivize or punish in order to get reaction. So it's a whole lot better to give them their own code,
Right, exactly. And so we kind of sell this as, look, you have these great IT services that the CIO at Kennesaw is providing to you. If you want to keep access to specific things like your email, then make a reasonable contribution to the organization to give back, and we'll give back to you. And so I think alums see it as, a give and a give kind of situation. They give of their money, and we give of specific services to show that we appreciate their contribution. So it's been a very successful partnership between the ITS group and the Alumni Affairs Group on that front, definitely.
Well, and I think it's a form of demonstration. Obviously, you're not just, one of the things we say is if you're going to promote innovation, use innovation,
right,
in some form or another. And I know that KSU has been evolving and growing and expanding its image, and there's nothing like some practical, actual application that reaches out to the alumni that says, we're not just talking a talk, here's an example of it. I'm sure there's a lot more than just that, but it would seem like, again, that's just killer logic. We're quickly running out of time. One question I would be, I think our listeners would hate if I didn't ask, and that is, with everything that's going on and has gone on at KSU, I mean, every time I have an opportunity to go by there, things are more exciting. I mean, how much more can you do but football? I mean, for crying out loud, what's left in geographic area in that greater area? I mean, how much more can you expand? Nothing like success. I mean, just great things. But the question is, what does the future hold?
For the university or for identity and access management?
Well, maybe a little bit of both. I mean, I'm sure they're kind of together, but certainly the focus would be on access management.
Sure. I think that you're absolutely right. There is constant expansion, and under the leadership of our CIO, Dr. Randy Hines, and also the executive director of ITS, Lecter Lawhorn, I think one of the big expansions that we're going to see is into the cloud with a lot of IT services. And so because you're just kind of, you're either forced to go that way, or in some cases you may choose to if it's right for the organization. And so making sure that we can provision and manage identities outside of our premise on-prem environment, I think is going to be huge. Federating also, so that, working with InCommon and other aspects, so that folks can use their KSU login maybe to access grant data with the Department of Education, as an example. And so there are a lot of opportunities like that. I definitely also think that, as I'm sure everyone is talking about, mobile workflow management and integrations with more enterprise systems is in the works for us.
Well, I think key to even any form of distance learning is going to be access, right? I mean, at some point, it already is in play in terms of levels of protocol, but I would think as that cloud expands to a greater geographic or unlimited geographic area, security is the name of the game.
You're absolutely right.
Well, it sounds exciting. Obviously, you're getting all kinds of recognition. You've done a good thing when the boss tells you you're good, but when they really the community starts telling you, you're a winner, and congratulations on the accolades. But also, I think just really great creativity and innovation. It sounds like you were tasked with a challenge and went over and above the result to come up with a real, literally, figuratively, a real winner. McCree, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today on Tech Talk.
Thank you so much, and thank you to TAG. We really appreciate it.